What's going on, everybody? It's Devin from Head Up Throttle Down. As you can see, today we are in the garage, not out on the trails, but I promise you it's for a really good reason. Today I wanted to give you my thoughts on something that I've been waiting for a really long time to get on the Gen 3 Colorado, and that is a badass bumper from Victory 4x4. Pretty nice, right? So first off, if you haven't heard of Victory 4x4, you're honestly probably new to the off-roading world, or you clicked on this video by mistake, because this company has made quite the name for themselves building high-quality, outstanding products for the off-road community. Specifically, they seem to have gravitated towards a market that wants something to wheel other than a jacked-up Jeep Wrangler. So Chevy redesigned the Colorado in 2023, and Victory 4x4 was one of the first companies to address something glaringly obvious in Chevy's rollout of the Colorado. It's that unless you upgraded to the Desert Boss or in 2024 the Bison, there was no way to mount a winch to the front of this bumper, which is a pretty big necessity, unless the only terrain you're rolling over is the curb at your local Trader Joe's. This bumper not only looks incredible, but you can tell it was designed by people who actually get off-road and use their products. I really appreciate the aggressive aesthetics, but it's designed in a way that the average person might think that this is the way it came from the factory. It really blends well with the natural and, I gotta say, beautiful design cues of the Chevy Colorado. Victory 4x4 designs and manufactures by hand all their products in the United States. And my first impression of this bumper was the incredible craftsmanship, the initial design, and the obvious attention to skill that went into the fabrication process. The second thing I noticed was I feel bad for anything I accidentally hit with this thing because it is super solid. Honestly, this bumper is built to outlast the truck that I've mounted it on. It's because this bumper is solid steel. It's not one of those mass-produced in a factory overseas, flimsy aluminum piece. This thing is super solid. So the bumper really consists of three primary components, and that would be the main part of the bumper, which has an integrated winch mounting plate, as well as a cutout for a 20-inch light bar, and then the auxiliary wings that bolt to the side of the main part that hold the housing for your factory fog lights. Comes with these three accent plates. And they don't actually come this color. I had to get them powder coated, but the material and the finish that they come in is really easy to get powder coated any color that you want. So these accent plates actually provide a slightly raised edge facing forwards, which means they are likely going to be the first thing that gets hit if your bumper takes any sort of impact. So if your bumper starts looking more bagged than the doorstop at my ex-wife's house, it's really easy to take these off, take them to your powder coat guy, and get almost like a complete refresh on the entire front end of your vehicle. The powder coating on this thing is very well done and durable. While I only have had the chance to test it out on the trails a few times since installing it, it did survive a fall from about 3 feet onto my concrete floors with the winch mounted, and there was zero damage to the powder coating. Now, this was obviously a deliberately conducted experiment to assess the powder coating durability of this bumper, and definitely not because I was balancing this on a single point floor jack while trying to mount this thing at 2 in the morning, crying, listening to Creed. But what can I say? That's what we do here at Head Up Throttle Down. We do the hard science and get the data you need to make informed decisions. There are a few things I will mention about the installation of this product, especially concerning the winch. While I was considering doing an install video on this product, Victory 4x4 Off-Road does such an amazing job with their video, I honestly didn't think I had that much to add. But in the video, they actually don't mount a winch. And I think there are some important considerations for anybody who plans on mounting a winch with this bumper. First thing, just plan to relocate your control box. The way this truck is laid out and how the bumper fits up and under, it's going to be very difficult to find any winch where the control box will sit far enough forward to clear the crossbar that's behind this fascia. and it will save you from having to cut the lower part of the air dam for your active shutter system. As you can see from the video I'm going to show you, I thought I was going to be able to make it work and cut out the lower part of my dam, and there still wasn't enough clearance for me to mount the control box for my winch. And honestly, it doesn't really make sense to mount your control box down here, because the last thing you want when you're having the worst day of your life and you need to start recovering your vehicle is to find out the battery for your wireless remote is dead and you're somehow going to have to rip this fascia off on the trail to get your wire plugged in. The install took me way longer than it should have, and that's simply one, because I'm too stubborn to ask anybody to help me, and really, please do that. And two, it's because I didn't have a plan to relocate my control box. So I did reach out to Victory 4x4, and they do have plans in the work to introduce a relocation box for the Gen 3 Colorado, but right now they don't have it. And if you're watching this video and they still don't have it out, reach out to me and I will provide you with the dimensions of the plate that I got made to mount up that control box solenoid. Wiring the cables to the engine compartment from the winch is really not an issue. In the wings here, there's really generous openings that go from the main part of the bumper out this way from where your winch will be mounted. And then after you remove the factory bumper, it basically up to the engine bay is wide open. So you'll have absolutely no issues finding places to run those winch wires for your extension. Another consideration you're gonna have for when you're buying a winch to fit this bumper is you're gonna wanna have something where the clutch disengagement for the winch is able to be clocked forward. Victory 4x4 did make these cutouts for you to be able to manually engage that clutch, but they're quite small. And so if you have huge ham hands like me, you're really gonna want to rotate that clutch handle forward. So if you got gloves on, it's dark, you're gonna be able to easily reach up in there and disengage that clutch. Another thing I'm gonna mention about installing the winch and the bumper is don't do it alone. I know I did, but that was stupid because I'm stubborn. Just ask a buddy for help. When you have the winch mounted in here, and you're gonna want it mounted on here before you mount it up because of the way it tucks in under the bumper, it's like 160 pounds, maybe even 180 pounds, and you're gonna damage something, drop the bumper, or scratch up your fascia if you don't have somebody to help you. So one of the things you're gonna see in this install video by Victory 4x4 is that they actually put the fascia on before they install the bumper. And I think they honestly do that just to protect the bottom edge here from getting scuffed up on the bumper. But if you're installing a winch and then you're gonna have to run a bunch of wiring, it's probably better to keep this off till the very end, get your bumper installed, run your wiring, and then put the fascia back on. You can do it this way. You just have to be very cognizant of this bottom edge of your fascia not getting all scratched up, because the bottom of the fascia actually sits slightly recessed. So another note on this installation is that you are going to have to trim part of your front fascia where those factory fog lights sit. This may sound daunting for anybody who's never used an angle grinder or a Dremel before, but it's really not that big of a deal. And where you're cutting actually sits below where the top of the bumper is. So even if you make a tiny little bit of a mistake, you're probably not going to be able to see it. On that note, I used a Dremel with a cutoff tool. I was able to go a lot slower, be a lot more precise. And if you're a little bit nervous, that might be a better option than using an angle grinder. The other trimming you're going to have to do is trim your fender flares. And that's simply because they don't have anywhere on that lower bumper to mount up. So all I've done for now is I drilled an extra hole into the liner. I bolted it up to a mount that used to be attached to the OEM bumper. And then basically anywhere that the fender would rub on my tires, I cut with some scissors. It's that easy. Eventually I will probably do some sort of metal angled like pinch plate just to clean it up that'll tie into that mounting place. But for right now, it's more than satisfactory. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you could and you're new to this channel, please consider smashing that subscribe button. I do a lot of reviews, side-by-side stuff, and I also do some adventure videos, and I'm going to be doing some adventure videos with my new overland rig here. We have over 250,000 views on this channel here, but we haven't even hit that 1,000 subscriber benchmark yet. So if you could hit that subscribe button, that would be awesome. So as you guys know, I'm always trying to get my viewers some sort of deal on anything. I did reach out to Victory 4x4, and instead of doing some sort of discount code, they basically told me for you guys to call in, talk to them, mention the video, and they'll see what kind of deal they can work out for you. And I totally get that, guys. You know, the world we're living in right now and the volatility of fabrication materials, it's really hard for a company to, you know, provide some sort of discount code en masse when their costs could increase in the next few months.